Good morning and welcome to Spirituality Gone Wild. It is Happy Moon Day, everybody. And I am Debbie G. And of course, we have you know who, the incredible Claudia Thompson here. Claudia, how has your week been?
It's well, it's been as I was just saying to you, I'm feeling the shift. I'm feeling the shifts that are coming. It's been a good
Yeah.
week, but I'm very Uranian, so things change in my life all the time anyway. But for other people who aren't used to the roller coaster, you've been on one for 2 years, so it's like, what is coming? And there's a lot happening beginning today. So how have you been?
I have had a great week. It's been awesome. Joe's mom came out to visit and she's like this really she's just a really dynamite person. And it was a lot of fun. Plus, everywhere we went, people think she's my mom, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, yeah, it was, like, super fun, and then this weekend was super busy because we were out in the Palm Springs area for just the evening to go to dinner with David Strickle and the gang, so that I got to meet people I've only seen on Facebook, which is always freaking awesome because you could, like, touch their face,
Oh,
you know? And so that was wonderful, and then yesterday we were out in, uh, the other desert, which is the Palm Desert area, or no, no, Lancaster area, Palmdale. Last night I was exhausted, so I went to sleep. And that was my week. It was fantastic, wonderful, and I'm super grateful for where everything sits now. And I was just on the phone with Karen Palmer, Miss Kindness, and we were discussing the fact that we're putting together our Symphony of Gratitude, which is and that's where you'll be listening to lots of people's notes of gratitude. And we'll be taking submissions soon. So you need to watch for the Symphony of Gratitude, everybody who's watching and listening. It's going to be open for submission, and everybody's going to be invited to submit their photograph, their note of gratitude, and the audience will be voting on their vote of gratitude.
fun.
So, without further ado, though, I'm going to give this over to you because today is Happy Moon Day. And good morning for whomever is here. Hi, Luke. Good morning. Howdy there. We've got the audience is growing. You guys ready for the moon or what? Okay, take it away, Claudia.
Well, it is Happy Moon Day, and we just hit the ground rocking and rolling today, planetarily speaking, because we've got Mercury moving into Sagittarius and Mars moving into Capricorn. The moon is in Aries as I speak with you this morning. So that gives you some go juice as you begin the week. Just don't overextend yourself, especially now that Mars is moving into Sagittarius. You may find midweek with some of the things that are going on that, a little irritability tends to make for some sharp tongues. So just be aware of that. Try to take a breath, think before you speak. We've got a full moon coming up on the 18th at 8:35 p.m. So let me see. Let me make sure that is PM, not AM. There is so much going on, my darlings. Um, so that full moon is going to be the kind of the climax to the axis of the Sagittarius Gemini energy that we have had for the last 18 months with the nodal axis. And we're going to be shifting in January into a new collective mandate. It's our the nodes really signify our collective evolution. And so it's kind of a mandate that goes out that we all go through. And this one's been about beliefs, communication. And I'm going to roll through the first things. And then toward the end, we'll get into some Gemini full moon work. So you'll be ready. Um, as I mentioned, we've got Mars moving into Sagittarius today, along with Mercury moving into Capricorn. So Capricorn is a sober realist who maps things out, who likes to make a plan. So whereas when Mercury was in Sagittarius, you might have found that you had a restless mind, you're kind of all over the place. Capricorn kind of brings it down to earth because we're moving from a fire sign, which was Sagittarius, into an earth sign with Mercury in Capricorn. As we approach the full moon, that's going to create a dance of adjustment between the mind that flits from one thing to another and Mercury in Capricorn asking for some focus, to start to get our plan for 2022 together. So it's really kind of beautiful, even though it's going to create that dance of adjustment. And so it's a good time to start making your plans. You know, we've got the solstice coming up on the 21st, next Tuesday. So that's really Happy New Year in the natural calendar. That's really when the light ignites, the spark in way down in the depths of our consciousness. The light ignites, and we begin to look at what we are conceiving for 2022. So with Mars in Sagittarius, you just need to be careful. It's really a shift in energy, folks, which is a good one, I think, because Mars in Scorpio had us dive deep, even though Mars is at home in Scorpio. I think I mentioned to you that I had a journey to the basement of my soul, and you might have too, so that we could see the habits and patterns that have been produced by the beliefs that we espouse. And so we got to see where love might have not been the only truth for us. We might have had a lot, and all of us do a lot of programming. They say that 95% of our operating system is subconscious, and that 95% of the subconscious is programmed from the time we are little bitty, and also past lives. And this particular full moon that we had with the solar eclipse really had us looking at our opportunity to purge really deeply. So Mars in Scorpio helped us with that, because Scorpio says if you eliminate those old hurts and habits and patterns and those emotional attachments that no longer serve you, that you can reclaim that energy and transform, not just change, but transform your life and your relationships. So that was a big, big carrot to unpack that baggage, even though it might have been heavy and painful at times. But now today, hallelujah, Mars moves into Sagittarius. The danger is the espousing of one's beliefs as the only truth and being self-righteous about that and being the know-it-all. Sagittarius is the professor of the zodiac, but it can also be the know-it-all of the zodiac. So, you know, you have to look at that dance that's going on. And with Mercury in Capricorn, that brings a sobering element to everything. So it asks us to think logically, rationally. Is what we began, what popped at the new moon eclipse, is that viable? Is there a way to put a plan underneath it? Mars in Sagittarius has to do with promotion. How am I going to promote this? How am I going to use my marketing, my mapping to nail it down? And one of the overarching things we're being asked in 2022 is, what do I have to offer, not just in business, but to my community? What do I have to offer to the world? How do I vibe every day with that contribution that I am, that I want to make, but also just that I am? So those are things to ask yourself. You know, at the full moon, the new moon, you ask yourself, what's possible? What's possible that I haven't thought of yet? What's possible that I can't even imagine? Because Sagittarius is about expansion. So with Mars there, it's telling you that you don't want unbridled expansion. Mercury in Capricorn says, think about it, think logically, think rationally, have a plan, have some concrete goals. And when the ideas come through, those expansive ideas, write them down. Because as I've mentioned before, writing is an instant form of manifestation. It concretizes, it makes it solid, it makes it real. So I want to tell you those dates. Let me just look here and get the dates so you know how long these transits are lasting. Got so many notes for you. There's so much going on. So from now for 3 weeks, Mercury is in Sagittarius. So it's not there long. I mean, sorry, Mars is in Sagittarius. So it's not there a real long time, but it moves us through the Christmas holidays. So just be aware when you're with your family to operate from the heart, to breathe. Remember, Sagittarius rules the exhalation, Gemini the inhalation. Take a breath and exhale if you find that something triggers you, because nothing triggers us like family, right? So that's one thing to remember with Mars and Sagittarius. And again, have a plan to promote what you contribute. And it doesn't just have to be business. That's in your relationships, in your community, how you can be more connected to your community this year, and what does that look like? So yeah, I'm back with this bothersome thing again. Anyway, so I know I have these dates. I should write them big and bold. Okay, so Mercury and Mars in Sagittarius from today until the 24th. So until Christmas Eve, we have Mars in Sagittarius, and then it'll move into Capricorn. And it will really energize those plans, those goals, that mapping that you started to do at the solstice on the 21st. We're still in the depth of the dark. We've got these last few days to regenerate, to look back over what 2021 meant for us. What were the values? What were the alliances? What were the beliefs that we're letting go of? What's our greater vision? Jupiter's going to be moving into Pisces out of Aquarius. So use this time to really get a handle on what that greater vision is and how you're going to map that out. And more importantly, how you're going to walk that every day. Because as 22 continues to take us up and down, with the carrot being evolution, massive radical evolution to our greatest good and our highest good and greatest joy. You want to have your vision in hand so that you can refer back to it, so you can get back on track if emotions, if you're feeling the collective too much, particularly. So Mercury in Capricorn is from today until the 2nd of January. So that's how long Mercury is going to be in Capricorn. And the first Mercury retrograde of the year will be in January. And I can tell you the date of that. So let me get the chart up here. And that will be on the 14th of January. So that's when Mercury will be moving retrograde. So we start the year off just a few days after the fiscal new year in shadow, Mercury's shadow. So yeah, so it'll be moving through Aquarius and then back through Capricorn, reminding us of the plans that we're setting forth, reminding us that we need to get our ducks in a row and look at what we're releasing from this past year. So this is a good time to continue to look at that. So let's go into the moon. Where is that moon? Well, I mentioned that the moon was in pioneering, bold, and daring Aries today. And tomorrow at 12:11 a.m., early, the moon's going to move into Taurus. And that's exactly what Taurus gets us to do. It says, come to your senses, smell the roses, enjoy the holidays, enjoy the rebirth of the light, enjoy these last few days of regeneration. And remember that you're doing that dance between the season that urges you to go, 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 and the moon, the other energies, the phases of the year, which tell you to ebb and flow, to just relax, to look at what you can do. What's the one thing that you need to do every day? Just one thing that you need to do this day so that when your head hits the pillow at night, you'll feel like you've accomplished something in your life. You'll feel good. One thing, not a million things. This is the challenge. And this is the challenge with Mars in Sagittarius, and that's the overextension, the mind that just is on overdrive, thinking of so many projects. And Mercury in Capricorn reminds you, think about what's viable. Think about what can really land and be grounded and how you are going to ground those plans. On Wednesday, moon's in Taurus. And then on Friday, the moon moves into Gemini. Getting ready for that full moon at 8:34 p.m. on the Pacific coast. So as we move through the week, we're going to move from the first quarter phase where we are today, which is the phase of taking action on those new moon intentions. If you haven't been taking action, this is your call to action. Look back at those intentions from a week ago and see the progress you've made. We're going to be moving into the gibbous phase tomorrow, getting ready for that full moon. Actually, I think it's early Wednesday that we move into the gibbous phase. And the gibbous phase is what I call the pressure cooker phase. And that's because the fluids in your body, literally the lymph, the blood, the water in your body, rise just like the tides in the ocean. The tides in the ocean become more dramatic. So everything begins to become more dramatic. And Taurus is ruled by Venus. And when the moon moves into Gemini, it's ruled by Mercury, which we just went over how Mercury has shifted into Capricorn. And there's going to be a dance of adjustment that might be felt at that time, where you have things you want to learn and you're asking yourself what you have learned, and the things that you want to do, the plans that you want to make. And the sober realist versus the moon in Gemini, which says lighten up. You know, this is all a big movie that you bought a ticket for. And not even that, you're the hologram. You're the holographic spark of life, of spirit, that is generating all of this. Now, that's a pretty amazing thought, isn't it? So if you just picture yourself standing in your living room or in your bedroom in the morning, and when you first open your eyes, realizing that you have turned on the generator, you've turned on that magical imagineering generator of yours, and your feelings determine what you're going to see. So looking before you even get out of bed sometimes, how can I get on track with my vision? What do I want to put in the pot today? What level do I want to vibrate at today? Because you want to vibrate at love and above. And you can go on YouTube now and find music that actually is keyed to these hertz levels, so that you can just turn that on and have that in the background all day long, love and above, just permeating your soul, yourself, so that it helps keep you upbeat. Music is so transformational anyway. So if you sing, or even if you don't, singing out loud is a soul expression. Dancing, getting the lymph moving, very important. We've had Neptune in Pisces now for a while. It's going to continue there. We're going to have a major event in 2022, which I'll talk about later, that's going to really bring Neptune. It's going to expand its influence, and that's the lymph, the pineal gland. It reminds you to dance with life and to connect with the things that inspire you every day. And that's really a good thing to remember with Mercury and Capricorn too. What are you filling your mind with? Are you on the side of the just the sober realist that is pessimistic? Or do you have things to lift yourself up out of the doldrums so that you stay realistic, but with a happy edge, a joyful edge? After all, joy is the clearest evidence of the presence of spirit. So is there anyone out there? I'd love to have you check in. Let me know how you're doing. We are in a time since these eclipses of a huge upgrade. We're all going through it. And remember that if you find that you need more sleep, if you find that there are just things that you need to do as you remember to exhale, that you're being upgraded, that we're moving through the photon belt. And this full moon coming up is huge as far as our galactic connections go. I want to mention to you that the moon moves into Cancer on Sunday. Home and family become our focus and what creates emotional security in our lives. Very creative energy. So you couple that with the beginning of this Mercury into Capricorn, and you look at how you're going to create, what that means to you. First of all, what are your values? And that is going to continue to be an overarching theme for 2022. What are the values that you have been targeting? I was reading yesterday that a lot of people have left their jobs behind in work since the COVID lockdown. They're just not going back to their same way of being. And I find that that's very positive, that, that a lot of people are just retooling their lives according to what they've discovered their true values are and their true beliefs. And a lot of these beliefs have fallen. The systems are decaying. And underneath those systems are the beliefs that created them. So what are the beliefs that have created systems in your life? How has your regimen changed on a daily basis? Because that's the moon guiding you to a healthy regimen, and reminding you that the moon is the subconscious and the soul. So the more that you can bring those old patterns, those old habits up that block your ability to live your highest good and greatest joy, are now being uprooted. And this is a really good thing. And with Mars in Sagittarius conjuncting the South Node It's uprooting the way back, the karmic issues. We have an opportunity to heal those and to release them as they are energized now. And as we move into more connection in the holidays, we get to see what our beliefs are, what our judgments are. Do we judge our friends? Do we judge our families? Do we judge our journeys? Do we judge ourselves? Or do we look at how we can love ourselves radically, maximally? High five yourself in the mirror in the morning. You know, oftentimes we look in the mirror and we're just there. And we're looking sometimes really critically at ourselves too, as opposed to saying, hello, gorgeous, how you doing today? And putting some positive affirmations in there along with that. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Everything is happening and working for me all the time. Those are two that I love. Another one is money comes to me in unexpected ways. I make money wherever I go. If you're focused on prosperity, those are two good ones too. It's really good to have affirmations to fall back on, or mantras to fall back on. And not even fall back on, but to be part of your energetic regimen every day, so that you are walking in the future that you see for yourself and for this planet. And as Mercury moves into Capricorn, that also reminds us that we need to be more earth-centric. How are we living on this planet? Are we aware that we and the planet are one in this physical existence? The more that we can become aware of that, not from a place of fear, of not enough, but from a place of knowing that these resources that are sustaining us from the earth are a gift that we need to cherish, protect, and care for. How are we living that in our own lives as far as our own utilization of resources? Capricorn's all about utilization of resources. So as the moon moves into Gemini at the end of the week, you're reminded to lighten up. I mentioned that, lighten up. Take an inhalation and exhale, because the sun's in Sagittarius, the exhalation, the moon is in Gemini, which is the inhalation. And I mentioned that it's a wide square to Neptune, so it asks you how you're programming yourself to manifest the dreams that you're putting forth. And it also takes you back to the 10th of June. Now, on the 10th of June, we had a solar eclipse at the time of the new moon in Gemini. But it was conjunct Mercury retrograde. It was united. That means united exactly with Mercury retrograde. So as opposed to being an outward burst of energy and activity, it was more inward. And you were asked to look at how you program yourself every day. Are you allowing external programming to tell you what to think? There are so many outlets. I know I was listening to Sadhguru the other day in an interview with Deepak Chopra. And he was saying that we've had these big pandemics before, which I don't even know if this qualified as a pandemic actually, but it's the media. The difference is we have all of this continual input from the media. So look at what your programming is. Look back to June at what you put forth then about how you wanted to communicate, how you were becoming more aware that as you think, so your world appears. That change your thoughts, change your life. All of these things. And then we went through the summer with a fair amount of retrogrades going on, asking us to really take a look at that and at what we want to learn. There's so much technology, and we're finding that the way that we communicate really is about technology now in large part. So maybe you need to learn some methods of getting your message out there, of just communicating with your family, communicating with friends. I know years ago I resisted Facebook like crazy. And a friend of mine said, well, look at your friend base. And I realized that a lot of the people that I hadn't heard from in a long time were communicating over Facebook. They weren't picking up the phone anymore, which is kind of sad. I still think that chatting voice to voice is so important. And by the way, if you want to chat with me, you can message me on Moon Powered Astrology on Facebook, and I will schedule a chat with you, free chat, if you want to do that prior to booking a reading or just to chat with me. I believe that Debbie will put up the link in case you want to book a reading. It's a fabulous time to do that, to find out what your forecast is for 2022, what the universe has in store for you, and be ready to navigate it with some alacrity, some grace and ease for your highest good and greatest joy. Yeah, so you can use that energy, harness the heavens. As we move into this full moon, I mentioned looking back at June, looking at what you've accomplished since then, because full moons are always a culmination point. And this one in particular is a climax point for the eclipse that occurred. We had a lunar eclipse and then we had a solar eclipse. And this is the last, then we had this last eclipse, solar eclipse in Sagittarius. And this is the end of this Gemini Sagittarius axis, air and fire, thought and beliefs, how our communication espouses our beliefs, and really getting in touch with what's true for us so that that's what we vibe at and that's what we communicate about. This full moon is also trine harmonious, think harmonious, the biggest planet out there, Jupiter. Now Jupiter actually is very spiritual in nature, and it wants us to expand the horizons of our mind and our world and our spirituality. And Mars is going to energize that desire for an adventure. And it can also be wanderlust. So that's where having a plan, mapping what you want to do is a good thing. And listening to spirit, having really reinforcing that connection so that you know when to move, so you know when it's logical, when it's safe, when it really buoys up your vision and contributes to it, or when it's just escaping or running away from the responsibility that the Mercury in Capricorn asks that you take for those thoughts you're having. So it's a great time also to write down your vision, to write down what you're letting go of, all of these things. And the big thing that I want to mention, this is the third full moon in a row that has been united, or actually this full moon is opposite the galactic center. It's big stuff. So you might find that you've got some way out there messages coming through, or that you want to really expand your communication to include those awarenesses that we have a galactic sister and brotherhood out there cheering us on. This is the point in space that the Milky Way galaxy rotates around. So this is a big deal. And I'd like to know right now, is anybody out there? If anybody's out there, please check in. Let me know. I'm just rattling on here, but I really want to hear from you. I want to know how these things are affecting you. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. Anybody out there? So the galactic center is this enormous black hole, and it emits an enormous amount of infrared radiation. So with this alignment that we're going through, this is another thing that is upgrading us. It's asking us to be the light we are, to really be open to taking on more light, to really ramping up the light that we are in our lives. And you might look up Philip Sedgwick, wonderful astrologer, has a lot about the galactic center. And he's spelled with one L, Philip, Philip Sedgwick. He also has denoted in an ephemeris, which is a list of all the movements and orbits and dates of all of the asteroids that we're discovering. So it's a really good thing to look up the galactic center at this time, because we've got 2 more full moons that are going to be aligned, or they're going to be aspecting. They won't be aligned with like this one. They'll be aspecting the galactic center. So If it's opposing, it's like, what are the messages coming from deep space to me? You only want messages of the light. Light, love, alignment. Messages that are aligned with who you are and where you're going and what your deepest truths and highest values are. So be aware of that. Um, there may be ideas that come through that are like sudden, like little bursts, and you want to keep track of those. Because as I mentioned prior, I mentioned 2 full moons ago, that those can have earning power. So what do you have to communicate? You know, what are you being asked to be as a beacon for humanity right now? Because we are ultimately going to be an intergalactic species. As souls, our energy is eternal, it's ongoing. So many of you are aware that you come from somewhere else, that you come from another planet, another star. We're all star stuff. So, how does this relate to you? Take some time at the full moon to reflect. What have the past 6 months meant for you? What has this year meant for you? At the end of the week, Sunday, we move into something that's really one of the big portals for the year. Thank you, Luke. Thank you. And if there's anything that you don't understand, please let me know, because I know that I can be rapid fire and fast, and I want to be sure that this is landing for you and it's useful. So before I go into the big news at the end of the week, I want to I mentioned that the first quarter is where you take action, and that we're moving into the give us phase tomorrow. And that is the phase where we take stock. Be very late tomorrow, maybe early in the Wednesday morning. The gibbous phase I mentioned was the pressure cooker phase. So that's the phase where you polish your progress regarding your new moon intentions. This new moon was accompanied by a solar eclipse, total, but seen only from Africa and Antarctica. But still, the impact is felt. So eclipses remind us of the cycles of our lives in a bigger way. A solar eclipse, which is what that one 2 weeks ago was, at the new moon, opens a portal for 6 months. Now, as we have Jupiter trine in harmonious angle, that big planet of expansion, says whatever you focus on, I'll expand. That's its promise. And since it is in harmonious angle with this new moon, and with Mars so close to the south node, the past, what we're leaving behind, we get to see the first glimmers of what those intentions, of what that solar eclipse popped. Because solar eclipses pop new light and new information into some area of your life. And it kicks off a new beginning that we feel for the next 6 months. It unleashes an enormous amount of energy as the sun is hidden and then revealed again, and that light pours forth. But then it imprints in that area of our lives for 19 years. Lunar eclipses, a little over 18 years. Solar eclipses, 19 years. So we have these big imprints going on. And the thing that's great is if we're aware, we can walk through these portals in a conscious way and surf the energy, so to speak. These are big energies. And it's interesting when you look at the pre-birth eclipses, the eclipses that occurred before you were born, it denotes what you came to give in the case of a solar eclipse and what you came to learn in the case of a lunar eclipse. Overarching energies for a lifetime. So these eclipses are big deals. And as I mentioned, this full moon is a culmination of the last 2 weeks and also the last 6 months, which takes us back to another solar eclipse. So this axis of beliefs, the worldview, your awareness of the world at large, And the way you communicate, the way you think, the messages that you program yourself with, these are all things that are really being underscored now so that you move forth according to your truth, according to what's true for you. It's all wrapped up with values, and it gives you that touch point, that loving touch point to go back to should you find that you're being swayed off track by the prevailing currents of evolution that are waking all of us up. We all have beliefs to dump. We all have truths to get down to the root of and live. And they may be new and they may call for radical action. So as the gibbous phase builds, and we've got Mars in Sagittarius and these planetary changes, you may find the pressure affecting you more than usual. So as you look back at what have I done during this year? Where am I now? How am I prepared for the year that I am planning and for what's coming? Because with the planet of awakening and chaos, Uranus in Taurus, we know that our values are going to be fluid, that they're going to continue to enlarge and shift and change. But the basic truths of love, one of my values is beauty, celebration, joy, connection. You know, what are your basic values? And how do you live those each day? It's something that can really get you up out of your chair if you're feeling some winter doldrums. So it's really good to hang on to these overarching themes. As we come to the full moon, you're going to want to do a wishing ceremony. I hope that you journal. If you don't, begin now. This is a great time, especially with this Gemini full moon energy coming in, which rules writing, all forms of communication, transportation. It's a great time to start journaling so that you can go back to these dates when things were set in motion and see how you've done and see where things have changed and how you want them to change. You may find that there's a lot of restless energy as the week progresses, as we build towards this full moon. So you want to have your default positions. You know, you want to think before you speak and speak kindly, speak from the heart. If that's one of your truths, and hopefully it is. Sagittarius also has to do with faith and hope. That's where the sun is. That's what's giving light to the moon. So you may find that there are revelations regarding where you just need the faith of a grain of mustard, as a mustard seed. It's all the faith you required. Or as Abraham says, 17 seconds. If you can hold the feeling of what you envision for 17 seconds and really feel it with every cell in your body until you are in joy. It's one of the Sagittarius words that I love, joy, joyfulness. Then you've matched the frequency. And then that becomes the game. Game on. How can I stay in that frequency? How can I reinforce it and reaffirm it all the time? Also, the Gemini Sagittarius axis is about local versus global. So it's telling you, the full moon says, think locally, act locally, and look at how it impacts globally. You are part of the world. You are your world. What's in your world? What do you invite into your world? There are people, things, ideas that I have crossed my awareness that I would not invite into my home. I would not have them for dinner. So why would I give my time to them in some version of the media? That's something to think about, because it's in the airwaves. We're being bombarded. We have these amazing, computers that we work with all the time, our phones. It's hard to escape it, but you are the master. You get to decide how much influence these things have in your life, how you take in your sources of information, how you program yourself, right? It's called programming for a reason. So now I want to mention, I'm going to talk about this more next Monday. So I'm not going to go into this terribly deeply, but it's really, Really, really important. Hi, Lisa. So lovely to see you. Thanks for checking in. Um, on Sunday, we begin to have Venus moving in retrograde motion. Big stuff. On Saturday, Venus and Pluto met. Now, Venus is what we like. It's magnetic. It's our how we receive, how we attract what we need. And of course, it's about relationship. And it is moving retrograde in Capricorn until the 29th of January, with the real effect of the period ending on the 3rd of March, when we have the third of the three conjunctions with Pluto. So this takes this energy really deep. And it has to do with all of your relationships. And really, it has to do with the relationships outside of the family, your friends, etc. It can bring love relationships in, but it also can have you really examining them, asking yourself what your level of trust is, and it gives you an opportunity to look at where you might not have a high level of trust in your relationships. Or it might show you where you tend to trust too much before you know. So it asks you to dive into these relationships. And as you move into the next year and you look at what your collaborative efforts are going to be, what do these relationships look like? What would be the ideal exchange, the win-win in relationships? You're also going to get to look at control issues. Capricorn's, one of its characteristics can be the desire to control the environment. And so you want to look at, you want to look at that. You want to look at where maybe you sabotage your relationships with too much control, trying to control the other person, trying to make ultimatums. And you get to look at the source of all this, because when a planet moves in retrograde motion, the energy of that planet is internalized. And I remember 20 years ago, I did a webinar on Venus, and I was talking about relationship and attracting, and looking at finances and relationships and what you need to be who you are, how you attract that. And I had a wonderful friend who became a friend then, an astrologer, Johnny Morehiel, who called in and said, I just wanted to say, Venus is a kick-ass goddess. This is not just a namby-pamby, sweet beauty, light, and love goddess. And so as Venus retrograde is in Capricorn, you may find that Venus can be a very kick-ass goddess. It's also going to encourage you to really look at how much you do need. What do you need? What do you need and want in your relationships? And as it comes 3 times, the first was on the 11th, we have 2 more times that it's going to unite with Pluto. It's going to be a deep dive. It's going to be more intense than it would be without these conjunctions going on, these uniting with Pluto. But it also reminds us that old patterns can be eliminated. The old patterns that get in the way of our really having a mutuality of power in our relationships, where we're not giving away our power to someone else in relationships, friendships, business, our extended family, our allies. Who are our allies in business? Do we take the time to make a plan, to establish, to be really clear about mission, message, alignment, that whoever we're collaborating with, that we are on the same page, and commit to calendaring check-ins to make sure that that alignment continues to hold as we go through all the ups and downs of vicissitudes planetarily of this coming year. So thing to do is don't retreat into yourself or back away, because Venus is a social planet. So it wants to connect. And it's just, that it's just more delicate due to the Venus uniting with Pluto. And it deepens issues that come up just get deepened. Thank you, Lissa. Thank you. It blesses me to share with you. So That's something to remember, because that's something that Pluto can engender and retrogrades can engender, where you just go into yourself. And this is a time when you want to connect, and it may bring back old love relationships. It may bring back old collaborative possibilities. So that's one of the high good sides of this. But it's big stuff, because Venus moves pretty quickly. We got Mercury and then Venus. These, as far as how far away they are from, in their distance from us. So Venus moves quickly, but it's not going to move so quickly this time. And it really gives us a foundation to look at our finances, how we're setting up, how we attract what we need, how we attract relationship. Do we stay in connection? Do we follow up? Do we nurture and cherish our relationships? Because all relationships are holy relationships. Sometimes we just pay attention to our love relationships, and we don't realize that all relationships are love relationships. So I want to talk a little bit about full moon ritual for you. As I say, new moons are for setting intentions. They create new beginnings. And if you will message me at Moon Powered Astrology, I will send you a gift called Moon Phases at a Glance. I'll need to know your email. But it's a way that you can keep track really simply of the movements of the moon. And the moon is your daily life. It's your habits and patterns. It's really that huge part of your operating system. Because as I mentioned before, it has to do with, it has to do with the way you navigate through the week. And it's your soul. So you want to be sure I'm looking at the crawl and it's throwing you off a little bit. So you want to be sure to follow the moon. The moon is going to be your North Star, you might say, because it is said that if the Earth were to move through the galaxy quickly, and we would end up with some darkness for longer than a day or a night, the moon would always tell you where we are. And that's what Moon Phases at a Glance does. It tells you the phases, it tells you what to do, it tells you the keyword, it relates it to the planning cycle, it tells you moonrise and moonset, and then it describes what the template is all about. And I've had people take that template, print it out, and laminate it so that they can put it on their refrigerator or have it right on their desk. So again, Moon Powered Astrology, Moon Phases at a Glance, if you're interested in that, or scheduling a chat with me, or if you'd like to book a session. Never a better time to do that as we move into a new year. So at the time of this full moon, you're looking back 6 months, you're looking at 2 weeks ago, you're looking at these intentions that were set in the light of solar eclipses. So this is a big, big culmination point. How have you done? Be tender with yourself. Give yourself credit. You may not have ended up maturing or you're having your intentions mature in the way that you want. But remember, 6 months, leaving an imprint for 18 to 19 years. Yes, take a breath and exhale. And then write your intentions wherever 27 degrees of Gemini and Sag falls in your chart. That's where this full moon is, wherever 27 degrees of Gemini falls in your chart is the area impacted by this full moon. Communication in all forms, transportation, what you've learned, what you want to learn, and the beliefs that you're releasing, that you've seen no longer are true. And I mentioned the 369 rule on the last show, that 30 days, 60 days, 90 days is when the revelations will be coming out around what you've seeded. And last week, at the end of the week, you got an opportunity to see if the intentions you set were realistic, how you wanted to tweak them. And that's going to be ongoing over the next 30, 60, 90 days, and then the next 6 months, every time the area is kicked off again. So this full moon reminds you, A, lighten up with Mercury and sober, realistic Capricorn, lighten up. And look at what you want to set an intention for out of what has occurred, what you're letting go of. What do you want to communicate? What's your message? If you don't know your message, or you would like to have one, or you want to have a vision that's not coming into, into existence for you, if you're not getting clear on it, book a session. We'll do some vision mapping together, and you'll get clear, so that as you walk into 2022, you'll have that map and the right timing for everything, which is so important, as you know. So first of all, you want to do a brain dump. Just write what you're letting go of, what's happened, and you might just be writing a letter to yourself that shows you what you want to let go of. Full moon is a big release point as the cycle moves from the outward active building waxing energy into the lessening of the light, the waning part of the cycle. So the full moon is a wonderful time to release as you look at the wish that you're going to make. So I get it narrowed down so it's on just one sheet of paper or a Post-it note even. But with Gemini, it's very active energy, very restless, active energy. A lot of thoughts come in, so you might need a whole piece of paper to write those things on. And then you're going to release them. And you can do this one of two ways. You can write your wish first, and then what gets in the way, release that. Or you can just look at what you're releasing and then write your wish. So what you're going to do is you're going to burn that piece of paper. And as you burn that piece of paper with what you're releasing on it, and somebody asked me one time, they said, should I keep a list of what I'm releasing? It's like, no, you're releasing it. Let it go. Just let it go out of your existence. And that's exactly what you do. As the smoke rises, the flame burns, you see new light coming in as the smoke moves through every cell of your body and every parsec of your existence, taking everything you're releasing right out of your life, right out of your universe. And then you make a wish. So you write your wish. And it's not the kitchen sink. It's one wish, as concise and clear as you can make it. I wish to communicate with more love, more lovingly. I wish to learn, da 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 da. I wish to communicate from love and above. It might be something that has to do with transportation or travel or writing. I wish to get that book written, whatever it might be. And you always start with, I happily and thankfully wish. I happily and thankfully wish. So you write it down. And then you get a picture of that. And you close your eyes, put your feet on the floor, palms up in your lap, ready to receive. Close your eyes and you drop. Drop, drop, drop. You drop into your heart. And as you do, you feel that wish just explode in light, filling your belly, filling your whole body, filling every cell of your body with the feeling of that wish manifested right now. And you allow that feeling to run through you until you're just feeling the joy of it, the excitement, the dedication, perhaps the willingness to take on the responsibility for your vision and for your life and for what you're learning and communicating and the methods by which you're going to get that done. That's going to move as we move through the next year. And remember, it's a climax too. So you want to be in gratitude for yourself, for everything you've done, for the discipline that it's required for you not to get caught up in the collective media madness. Maybe that's your wish, to program yourself with only that which is for your highest good and greatest joy. And as you feel this, you feel it ramp up. And as it ramps up, ultimately you ramp it up even higher until the light and the feeling move through your skin and fill your auric field. And when you're done, you open your eyes and journal any insights that you've received around this. And then you put your paper out under the moonlight, your journal, and you charge it. Because at the next new moon, in 2 weeks, from the 18th, from Saturday at 8:34 p.m. 2 weeks there will be a new moon, and you're going to incorporate that wish into your new moon intentions. So that's pretty much it. And that's a lot. I know that's a lot. If you have questions about any of this, you know where to find me. If you'd like to book a session, do that. And it's a busy, busy week. And I'd love to know if you feel the energy shifts as this day moves forward and this week moves forward. Keep yourself on track. You're all beacons of light. I'm so honored and blessed to speak with you every Monday. And I really just wish the best for you with this full moon. Again, remember, it reminds you to lighten up, to communicate what's true for you with love, and to vibrate at that which is for the highest good and greatest joy of yourself and the earth.
That was awesome, seriously. And what I've been doing while Claudia was behind the scenes is I was putting my angels up. Aren't they cute?
Yeah, I know I have a poinsettia back here
Oh,
by the
oh,
moon.
that is beautiful.
And that's,
I love that.
oh, good. She's going to put her journal out to charge under the moon. Yes. I mean, have fun with
I
it.
love that.
This is the thing. I always talk about when I teach workshops, I don't even call them workshops. I call them play shops. And we do
Yes,
moon play because that's what it ought to be. You're tapping into
moon
true
play.
time. And so there ought to be a lot of joy with that, and freedom
I think
released.
so. I I love that. And I think this was a beautiful segment today, everybody. So if you missed it or you just joined, please go ahead and go back to the beginning. It will be available for replay in about 5 minutes. And then also the links to book Claudia are right there in the chat. Please book a session. Get a session for somebody for the holidays. It's really a fun gift to give somebody. Everybody wants to know more about themselves. We
You
just
know what's
do.
a
I love knowing more about me.
You know, it's a great gift. There are two readings if you look at the reading link. One is a
Mhm.
full-on reading that'll give you, where you'll get your soul's purpose, what's going on, as you enter 2022. But there's also another reading called Lunar Discovery Session, and that makes a beautiful gift because it tunes people into the moon and what it means for their health, their relationships, etc. So that's a
I
lovely
love it.
gift if you don't
I
want
love
to
it. So,
you don't bite off the whole reading for someone.
all right, Melissa, we're going to be ending the show right now, but I'll tell you what, all that information is available in our chat. She's welcome from Ireland, Melissa. Welcome from
Oh my
Ireland.
gosh. Ah,
Welcome, welcome. She wanted to know what the full moon is tonight, actually. I suppose you could answer that real quick before we head out.
the full moon is on the 18th, next Saturday at 8. It's at Pacific Coast time. It'll be 8:34 p.m. So adjust that for Ireland.
Beautiful. We're in Southern California, Melissa. How is Ireland? I'm 11% Irish, I think, which it's just kind of cool because it makes me
Yeah, me
think about the
too.
fact that I
Yeah.
love that. My mom is a redhead, my niece is a redhead, and we all know, I mean, but not just a redhead. We're talking like this golden weaved, freaking gorgeous, like you could never recreate that
That's what I was till
ever.
COVID. Been a redhead my
Uh
whole life. Yep.
Well, you've got that fiery spunk. And Claudia, thank you for always showing up in the you show up in the universe and the universe says thank you. And if anybody wants to book a session, please again write in the chat, including the YouTube chat. You will find the link. I'm going to go ahead and post it one more time. Please watch Spirituality Gone Wild on Facebook, YouTube. Like and share our page and channel no matter where that you're watching from, if it's on Twitter, wherever that you are, whether you're in a group. Please also go over and if you're on Facebook and love Claudia's page, which I will put up right here so you can see it, Claudia Moon Powered Astrology. Claudia Moon Powered Astrology.
It's just going
And
to be
with
moon
that,
powered astrology.
oh, it's just going to be Moon Powered
It's just
Astrology.
moon powered
Okay.
astrology. Yeah.
Well, then I'll take the Claudia out. But if you do a search in Facebook anyway, you're going to get it. So just do that. All right. So with that, we are at 60 minutes on this show. We are complete and make sure that you are watching Spirituality Gone Wild. The Symphony of Gratitude is coming, and you aren't going to want to miss the Symphony of Gratitude. It's going to be absolutely extraordinary. Notes of gratitude from people around the world. All right.
I
Bye,
love you to the moon and
everybody.
way beyond. Have a great week.
We love you guys. Let's see you next Monday.